What's going on, YouTube? Ferocity here. Hope you guys are doing well. I want to start today's video off with this tweet from the Ghost of Hope. It's actually so funny. People try to apply the COD cycle when praising MW3. We enjoyed it during its life cycle. That's not the COD cycle. Now, for those of you that don't know what the COD cycle is, maybe you're a little out of the loop, let me catch you up. The COD cycle refers to this phenomenon that whenever a new Call of Duty comes out, the old Call of Duty is the best Call of Duty ever. And it's one of the laziest, most nonsensical takes that the Call of Duty community has. It's simply untrue. And anybody that's been around this franchise for the last 15 years knows it to be untrue. But it's become this fabrication and easy go-to argument for so many lazy people within this community. People that will defend the current state of Black Ops 6. They'll use this to say that next year we'll all change our tune and fall in love with Black Ops 6, which I don't think is going to be true. You're not all of a sudden going to make a game that is devoid of any character or identity or good gameplay mechanics all of a sudden better just because you move the calendar a year forward. The one thing that we can say when it comes to Modern Warfare 3 versus Black Ops 6 or this COD cycle myth is that we do have some perspective on what we had last year versus what we have this year, so we can compare and contrast. So let's start first and foremost with MW3 versus Black Ops 6, because this seems to be the debate right now. People are praising MW3 while just absolutely criticizing Black Ops 6 to all hell. And it makes sense why. What point would I have to sit here and criticize MW3? Do you think Sledgehammer Games is all of a sudden just going to start making a bunch of changes to MW3 because YouTubers started talking negatively about their game? No. There's a reason why there's criticism only of the current Call of Duty game. Sure, we can do retrospectives, but we know that if we say anything bad about MW3 or MW2 or any of the games that came before Black Ops 6, it's going to fall on deaf ears, more so than anything we say about Black Ops 6, because they're not in development right now. They're not being supported. But Black Ops 6 is. Now, I would argue the support is very bare minimum, but it's still arguably being supported. But it's not only that when it comes to Black Ops 6 versus MW3. People are utilizing MW3 as a good reference point for how post-launch content should be done within the Call of Duty franchise. Because like we've said for so long, what we're getting in Black Ops 6 is just not good enough. And at least with MW3, you could tell, that Sledgehammer Games was trying. More maps than we've seen before, but not just that, more original maps. I remember when Modern Warfare 3 released, and there was criticism around the community regarding maps like Rust and Shipment always showing up. And the community was like, we need a brand new small area map for us to fall in love with. Sledgehammer Games made the map Meat, which I thought was a pretty good map. I still think so today. They listened to us. They answered those calls. But it wasn't just the maps that they did a good job on in the small variety. They also made some really good medium-sized maps. Maps like Greece, Rio, maps that had some color injected into them. That weren't just the same cut and paste Warzone adjacent maps like what we see in Black Ops 6. They're not all just small area congested maps. We had some open areas. We had some interesting layouts. We had colors. It wasn't all beige and brown. But then came the events. MW3 was constantly trying to change up its meta, constantly trying to reward players for playing their events. But it wasn't just the events themselves that were better than what we're seeing in Black Ops 6. It was the fact that the rewards were actually worth grinding for. It wasn't simply an AI-generated emblem. It wasn't the same event repeated over and over and over again. They actually tried to do some interesting things. Like they even did a crossover with the WWE and SummerSlam last year, which I know wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but they at least tried something different. They didn't just say, okay, we got this IP and we're going to do nothing with it like they've done with Black Ops 6. So what we've been able to do with MW3 is gain perspective on what that game did right versus what Black Ops 6 isn't doing right. So when I hear this argument of the COD cycle, it's just a flat out lie. And nobody, or at least a very small segment of players, were glazing MW2 during MW3. Nobody was like, man, MW2, Warzone 2 so much better with MW2. It was just so much better. No, nobody was doing that. Nobody was saying that during the MW2 era with Call of Duty Vanguard. Sure, some players were reminiscing of Black Ops Cold War when Vanguard released. People reminisced of MW 2019 when Black Ops Cold War released. But that's more of a preference than a community-wide consensus that because we have Black Ops Cold War, MW 2019 is all of a sudden great. No. Black Ops Cold War releasing, for me at least, and for many, emphasized a lot of the problems MW 2019 had. And then when Call of Duty Vanguard came out, they emphasized those same problems once again and showcased that Black Ops Cold War was a much different version of Call of Duty multiplayer than both MW 2019 and Vanguard. I don't know how that's hard to understand. I don't know why we just try to regurgitate the same boring and lazy narratives to get, karma? To get likes on Twitter? No. It's lazy. It's fabricated. It's not true. And we can even look back to older Call of Duties to see how untrue it was. It wasn't like during the Black Ops era when Black Ops 1 came out, everybody was just glazing MW2 despite its massive flaw with one-man army noob tubes. No, people liked what Infinity Ward had to offer because, hey, guess what? Back then, when we had new Call of Duty games released, each developer had their own spice to the game, which made the games different instead of what we have today, which is just the same homogenous experience year in and year out for a new shinier price tag of $80 to $90. Not everybody jived with what Black Ops 1 had to offer, so they played MW2. Same thing can be said when MW3 released. A lot of people said, whoa, I really like Black Ops 1. I like what they offered, so I went back to it. It wasn't this all of a sudden epiphany of, wow, the new game sucks and the old game was so much better. It's, no, I like this style better. And that's what's happened with Call of Duty forever. People like certain style of games over others. So the same will be said next year when Black Ops 7 releases and people play Black Ops 6 and they're like, yeah, I know it wasn't perfect, but I just like this game more. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden they shifted their brain chemistry to believe that new Call of Duty bad, old Call of Duty good. That's not how it works. That's not how it's ever worked. And if you're somebody who actually has had their brain chemistry altered to believe that you're the problem, you're the exception, not the rule. Because I'll tell you this, if you're going back to older Call of Duty games and you all of a sudden think that every single one of them is perfect or the best thing since sliced bread, you're just wrong and not living in reality. Every single game had its own quirks. Every single game had its ups and downs. No game was perfect. No Call of Duty game will ever be perfect. There will always be problems. There will always be improvements. There will always be criticisms. And that's okay. But to just paint everything with the same broad brush is lazy. And we have to stop doing it. We have to stop pretending that the praise that MW3 is receiving today is because new Call of Duty bad, old Call of Duty good. But instead, look at the reasons why. And I know people hate critical thinking, but it's time to start doing it a little. Stop regurgitating everything you hear and see online and think for yourself, for crying out loud. It's very easy to see why there are aspects of MW3 being praised in comparison to Black Ops 6. It was easy to see why Modern Warfare 3 aspects were being praised versus MW2. Because guess what? They were. A lot of what MW3 did fixed the problems of MW2, and I don't see any praise for that game. The same way I don't see praise for Call of Duty Vanguard, because they didn't do the things right. And it breaks this idea and this fabrication that old Call of Duties are all of a sudden good just because we've turned over a calendar year. That's not the case, and it'll never be the case. Infinite Warfare is not all of a sudden going to be this fantastic Call of Duty. It'll always be a watered down version of Black Ops 3 with a really good campaign. MW 2019 will always be a good Call of Duty game with a bad multiplayer. But when we talk about Modern Warfare 2019, when we talk about these older Call of Duty games, we're going to talk more about what they did right. Because what we want to do when we criticize Call of Duty, when we talk about Call of Duty, is take the best aspects of every game and try to transplant them into the next game so the franchise can continue to get better. That's what we want to see. So when we compare MW3 to Black Ops 6 and say the map design was better, the events were better, it's because we don't have that in Black Ops 6. It's not because we just gloss over the fact that MW3 had a terrible campaign. We're not praising that. We're not. We're saying that they did elements better than what Black Ops 6 is doing right now. So why can't they step their game up because they were able to do it last year? So stop with this lazy, phony, fabricated narrative and think for yourself. Stop regurgitating this nonsense and move forward with your life. Who cares if someone likes MW3? Who cares if you like Black Ops 6? It does not matter. There isn't some massive narrative that new Call of Duty bad, old Call of Duty good. It's just not true. So that's it for my video today. I'd love to hear from you guys down below in that comment section. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys later.